Really appreciate you guys, as always, for listening to the podcast. Can't believe we are approaching 200 episodes. Can't believe we are approaching 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I can't thank you enough. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. If you are one of our YouTube viewers, it would mean a lot to us to get to 1 million subscribers. I don't know why. It's just a milestone. It's a cool number. I think we get a plaque. Tommy took the 100,000 subscriber plaque. He's got that somewhere in his apartment. I'd like to get the 1 million plaque. I would. Personally, I would. Do your part. I'm only kidding, but thank you.
That culture shock we're talking about with going from Latvia to Spain, what was the biggest adjustment as a 19-year-old going from Spain to New York City, playing for arguably one of the most important franchises in all sports in the U.S., despite the fact they haven't won anything since the 1970s. I'm sorry, I'm just speaking facts here, Knicks fans. Biggest city, massive place. What were some of the early sort of eye openers for you?
Honestly, I came in like very prepared. Like my English was good. I was already kind of in my mind, like for a couple of years thinking, oh, I'm going to the NBA. Like I want to, listen to the music, like learn everything I can about the culture, So I was pretty already, and the year before that we had Scott Roth as a coach in Sevilla. So practices were kind of NBA type practices, and the like words he was using was like, it was all pretty easy for me to pick up my first rookie year. So I was pretty prepared, I would say. You know what? Like, coming in so young too, I was like so ignorant. Like I didn't care about nothing, and it was, I didn't care if I was in New York or somewhere else. Like I wouldn't have,
you know what
I mean?
When you were getting drafted, it didn't matter. Yeah.
No, I was just like, I think I didn't realize like the magnitude of like getting drafted by the Knicks, like being in New York City, playing at guard. I didn't even realize like what that was at that time. I was just
it just represented the NBA.
I was just boom, I'm in the NBA. That's it. You know what I mean? Like
could have been Indianapolis. It wouldn't have mattered.
Like,
and
as I got older, that's when I was like, okay, New York. That's getting drafted by the Knicks and being in New York. It's a big deal.
The term unicorn became a big part of the NBA lexicon for 3 or 4 years. And apparently you were the first unicorn because Kevin Durant, after a game when he was in Oklahoma City, referred to you as a unicorn. It just kind of took off. Did you embrace that moniker? Did you feel good about that? It then got used on a bunch of different guys, but did that at all add to any pressure that already existed?
No, it didn't add any pressure. Honestly, at first, I didn't even like it. I was like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't love it, let's say. But yeah, as time went on and I kind of realized what he meant by that, then started to enjoy it. Not enjoy it. I started to like it a bit more. And there's a lot of unicorns out there.
Yeah, Wemby's one of them.
Yeah.
When you look back on your time in New York, and again, I think the context is important here of being a 19-year-old coming to the United States, playing for the Knicks, all that stuff. Your rookie year, you had Derek Fisher for a little bit, then Kurt Rambis. Phil was the front office guy. Then you had Jeff Hornacek. Phil left after that year. Steve Mills then took over, made the All-Star game your third year. You get hurt. Sit out the next year. David Fizdale was the coach. There's a ton of changeover. We talk all the time just about how young players can only be as successful as sort of the infrastructure within the organization and the continuity and the support system around them. Like, how were you able to sort of navigate all of the change, the pressure? Like, did you just have blinders on? Did you just not give a fuck? Like really? I mean, it's actually looking back sort of remarkable.
Yeah, again, like it was kind of the same thing. Like I was just so young. I didn't have a care in the world. Like whatever was happening around me, I was like, oh, okay, this is the NBA. Like, all right, cool. Like it just keeps on going. But honestly, looking back now, it wasn't the most stable situation, coaching changes and different team every year. And then Melo was not there for my third year anymore. Yeah. Then I got hurt and there's a lot of stuff that happened in that 3.5 year span. But at that time, again, I was young and I was just kind of going with the flow, like whatever happens.
What actually happened in that meeting with the Knicks in late January during your fourth year? You're sitting out the year. You didn't sign the extension. It felt abrupt. I was still in the league then. It felt abrupt. It was like, oh shit, they just traded Porzingis. Like I thought he was the cornerstone of that franchise. It seemed like that maybe happened quickly. Maybe it didn't.
There was a lot of things that happened prior to that date, that meeting. You know, I got hurt. I brought in my own guy to do the rehab, and the team didn't like it. There was no good communication between us. It's again, I would have to even like go back and think about all the stuff that happened. It's a mix of many things that just went on, and towards the end, it kind of felt like, okay, this is what it's going to be. You know, I don't know because when you're hurt, you're not, at least I felt like you're not valued. You're not showing anything at that moment, you know? So you're like, okay. And then time went on, and we had the meeting, and we set our part, kind of preparing to ask for a trade. But I wish we never did.
Really?
But in a sense, like the trade was already, they were going to trade me anyway. You know, it's just that we went in and asked for a trade, and then like 2 minutes later, I was traded already. It was already done anyway. You know, it was just so they could say, "Oh, he asked for a trade," and boom, that's it. He didn't want to be here. It was many things that led to that.
Did they offer you an extension at all? Anything?
There was some talk.
Yeah.
There was some talk for sure. Again, I like if I could go back and do it all differently, and I would, you know, I would do many things differently just based off of my personality. But at that time, we did it a certain way, and that's how it ended, that story, you know. But again, it's many things that happened that led to that, and yeah, that's how my career went.